let's tell our players that they are good to go. We've got AromaNova at the bottom of your screen, and we're going to have iplongno at the top. Even Feln versus Combrei Relics here.
Yeah, this looks like a decent hand here for AromaNova.
They say he'll be back in a minute or so. So I will talk through real quick while we have that. It looks like iplongno does have pretty much the same build as Spifferific, or very similar to. Pull up that list, see if we can see that. Yeah, another Combrei Relics. Pretty much the same build. Put all those Combrei decks together in hand. All right, what do you think of this starting hand for AromaNova?
The Defile looks a bit off, but you're always going to have some off cards. So yeah, I know I like it a lot. You can do exactly what you mentioned earlier, having the Vine Grafter into a turn 3 Vine Grafter activation to make use of your turn 3 like downtime, so to speak. And curving into a Rindra on turn 4 is like never terrible. I must admit, I do like seeing a turn 3 Perilous Resets, though, if I am on the Combrei Relics deck. So, yeah, I think this is going to be a pretty even early game here. And I don't think is that... I think that's an Equalize in IP's hand, which will halt AromaNova
Yes, that is
slightly.
an Equalize, yep.
Oh, he did see the Reappropriator grab from the market. That's going to annoy IP slightly. But I do think a turn 6 Speaking Circle, or a turn 6, a Speaking Circle next turn will put some pressure on Aroma to at least start doing things.
Got that Reappropriator. Reappropriator Rindra Felrock seems pretty good. If AromaNova can find a way to discard this Felrock, they'll be in really good shape.
Yeah, I think IP doesn't mind discarding the cat here. The Damara does become a pretty clean answer to Speaking Circle if IP doesn't have anything to stop that. And unfortunately, AromaNova actually doesn't have the influence yet to even discard the Felrock if he does draw some discard effect.
Sorry about the scoreboard, everyone. The scoreboard's a little off. I apologize for that. I'm trying to get that fixed for now, but something happened with the stream, so apologies for that. But we'll get it dealt with while Ash is talking you through this. Sorry if I'm quiet for a minute.
I'm actually surprised that AromaNova didn't go for the Reappropriator last turn. Like this does allow him to drop the Damara and get rid of the Speaking Circle. So I suppose valuing that higher is a way you could go. But Reappropriator would have made the Perilous Research, or well, rather the Alarming Findings, which AromaNova knew was in hand, slightly worse. But we are just going to see a massive Builder's Decree again next turn, which we've seen the effectiveness of of how fast that can take over a game.
We absolutely have. Now this is interesting. I do feel like this matchup. It seems like another good matchup for Relics, though. I mean, it seems like Feln is a pretty relatively fair deck. I mean, as far as fair decks go, it seems like it's a pretty fair deck. I mean, it's cheat a Felrock out, but for the most part, you're playing out units, you're drawing cards, and I don't think there's enough pressure to really get it to a point where a couple of rats can't just have the Combrei deck to overtake.
I could see a world where maybe if you get like the dream of hitting Fell Rock influence on turn 3, and then like maybe having a Rindra, having a discard effect for your Fell Rock, things like this. If you can like empty the Combrei Relics player's hand early on, you might have some form of pressure that way.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think if the Relics player has things to work with, it becomes a lot harder for the Feln player. Yeah, because even now, I think, yeah, just go for the equalize first. Does give AromaNova the free Fell Rock, actually.
Yeah, that's going to be pretty good. A free Fell Rock is pretty good. So if you're not familiar with this card, it's a 5/2 for 6. But if you have triple Primal and triple Shadow, if it's discarded, you can play them from your Void for free. And then when it summons, the enemy player discards a card from their hand, then it's cost from the top of their deck, which is usually pretty good. You got to be careful with that in the even Feln mirrors, so you don't just get make them discard their Fell Rocks and start that train going. But
So IP actually went for discarding the Builder's Decree. So he's trying to like refill his hand here with that alarming findings. But yeah, the reappropriator actually coming in clutch now, not having used it before. Oh, that Shenron speaks off the top. Oh my
love
god,
it.
that actually solves it for iplongno. Gets his relic back, and then oh, but another nice top deck from AromaNova. Man,
That's
that
gonna get
exploit
rid.
just gets rid of that alarming findings.
Yeah, that's
Well,
gonna get rid of that alarming findings. Pretty nice there for AromaNova. We've seen lots of back and forth. Actually, gonna exploit that for a power. Wow. Here comes Diana. I
that's
guess,
not a
yeah,
bad
you
top
can.
deck for sure. Oh
Oof,
wow.
wow, that's a good one. All right, Sea Cancers. And we talked about how good Speaking Circle was on an empty board. Well, here you go. Speaking Circle with nothing for AromaNova to do about it. Now, AromaNova does play. I can't blanking on the name. That the Primal deal 3 damage, so can take that out. But not in hand, and
Primal overgrowth or something.
yeah, overgrowth.
Yeah.
But of
Vicious
course,
overgrowth. There you go.
vicious overgrowth. Yeah. Actually, this build is not playing Vicious Overgrowth, so I take that back. Playing Annihilate, Dazzlights, and playing Defiles instead of Vicious Overgrowth. So a conversation I didn't think we were going to have tonight was Defile versus Seer versus Vicious Overgrowth. Romanova playing 4 copies of Defile and 0 copies of Vicious Overgrowth. So interesting, not respecting the circle.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I guess that does make your point of Seer hitting circle a bit better, knowing that Combrei Relics did win the previous
True.
challenge.
Mm-hmm. The other reason that I like running the Vicious Overgrowth, although it doesn't come up too often in these kind of decks, which actually, so take that back. That's another difference in this Even Fell deck. This is not running Giral. So a lot of times these Even Fell decks will be running Giral, and then that helps with the Vicious Overgrowth because the Amplify cost counts for Giral's damage. But if you're not running Giral, which Romanova's not, then maybe the Vicious Overgrowth is less useful. But here again, we see Defile versus dealing 3 damage being different. Yeah, that's going to be tough. Stand Together on Diana is going to make that Diana really hard for a Romanova to deal with.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
I'm
even
actually
have the
surprised.
Bury the Past, but now it doesn't even work.
You do make a good point there with the Giral. Like, of course, previously you wouldn't be running Giral because you needed the 6 shadow influence for Icaria.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like it's now topping out at like 4 shadow influence, right? For the
Yeah, pretty
weapon.
much.
But I guess looking at the deck, that would have been
Piercing
Giral
shot.
probably would have been in like the Bam sneaky peeky slot, which
Yeah,
yeah, I think I'd rather have Bam.
sure. Happy Longno with another Diana is going to protect that Speaking Circle, and once that Speaking Circle pops, very different, very difficult for AromaNova to do anything about it. But remember, we do have Edict of Makar in the market, so being able to take out this other Diana, and that's gonna allow, that's gonna actually allow AromaNova to sneaky get in there and take out that Speaking Circle on its last chapter. But not gonna be
The
enough
Diana
because the
activation.
Diana
Yeah.
activation is just gonna end it. So iplongno gonna take that. Combrei Relics again. Combrei Relics won the last tournament, won the last Throne tournament, and here we see it again, doing pretty well. So props to iplongno for taking that one. Let's pull up iplongno's deck here. Similar again to what we saw Spifferific play.
I'm pretty sure this is the same list. I think there's one Age 1 Vestige less in this list. I don't know if Defiance was in Spiff's list.
Yeah, I don't think so. We can take a look. I don't think so, but all right. Our players are ready for game 2, so let's head down and see game 2 between number 5 AromaNova and iplongno. All right, AromaNova taking a mulligan. This hand is good, except the power is a little bit awkward. Right now, AromaNova cannot deploy a 2-drop on turn 2, so that's a little awkward. iplongno on the play here. Pale Rider's Timepiece was not the draw AromaNova was looking for. We're going to have a Pillar of Progress and Enter the Monastery, turn 2, turn 3 for iplongno. And look at iplongno repping these brand new pre-ordered sigils. Gotta love to see it. If you pre-order Revelations, you get these sweet sigils. Way to go, iplongno. Way to do your marketing for DWE. Good job.
Oh, I did make a mistake last game. I didn't see when we were going over the deck that this list was running Acanthas. So yeah, the Geralt versus Acantha
Yeah, the
situation.
draw versus the Acantha.
then
Yeah, you're
becomes the
going,
thing.
and the Pale Rider's Timepiece, right? So you're going heavy Shadow versus
Yep.
going heavy Primal. It's interesting how sort of the quote-unquote same deck can be built in two totally different ways. You can go heavy Primal, more spell-based, more Geralt-based, or you can go more Shadow-based with Acantha and Pale Rider's Timepiece. It's interesting. It kind of hints at how busted that deck is. That, you know, wins the open, gets nerfed, and then it's still like, well, you can build two totally different decks that do the same thing in different ways, and they're both good.
I am kind of amused at this hand from IP, which kind of like does justice to what I was saying earlier, where it's like, oh, you have a board? No, you don't. Oh, you have another one? No, you don't.
Yeah, exactly.
He doesn't have the double time though that he needs for Shenra Speaks and for Diana, so that's pretty
true.
rough.
It did draw Equalize though, which is nice.
It does get rid of the board here from AromaNova.
Yeah, buys you some time to find that second time sigil. But good pointing out that influence. Sometimes it's really hard to see the influence. A lot of times on coverage, we're looking at this and we're like, why isn't this player doing this? It's like, oh, well, they don't have the influence for it. Sometimes it's hard to keep
And
up
it's
with
fixed
cards
now.
like Diana and Roland is sometimes tough too with all of that. But fixed now, as you said, Shenra Speak's going to take care of the board. Oh, AromaNova can redeploy though.
Unfortunately, he is going to redeploy into another board wipe.
I do like stealing the Pillar of Progress though. That's funny.
Yeah.
Murder of Crows also good call. Murder of Crows in chat saying AromaNova running no hens either. That's the other big 2-drop in this deck. Running an even Feln deck with no hen. Just no respect.
I didn't even realize that was missing. Yeah.
Yeah, the more cards we point out that are different, the more I feel like this actually isn't the same deck at all. It's almost closer to like an even Shadow deck with a little bit of time, you know, but you got the playing much heavier Shadow for sure.
Yeah.
Exploit, but another Shenra Speaks. For iplongno, Perilous Research, the draw there.
Yeah, he did take the equalize. Well, words are hard. I wonder if taking the Diana would have maybe been an option. I mean, you're staring at the inevitability of two board wipes anyway. I guess the equalize also getting rid of your hand in certain situations is not great, but don't really see
This is
how IP would have cleared out his hand
Yeah,
for
I
that.
like this free attack because they hit the 8 shadow on this. Acantha's ability says when you hit the enemy player, they sack a unit. So iplongno basically forced to make a chump block because if if Acantha hits, you lose the Diana anyway. So sort of a free attack there. Didn't even had the Pale Rider's timepiece too, but didn't even need it because he could just kill the Diana on attacks, force the hand.
Yep, for sure. And there's the board wipe he knew was coming anyway.
Yep. That's the other reason not to deploy out the timepiece. All right, Vinegrafter going to go, though, and that's going to grab that Champion of Cunning. We saw this quite a bit in the Open. Even though it's not an even card, because it's in the market, it's fair game. And then Vinegrafter works so well because it gives it regen. So as if a 5/5 Flying Aegis wasn't hard enough to deal with, now it's a 6/6 Flying Aegis regen, which is pretty tough to deal with.
Yeah, when that card comes down, it creates headaches for everyone. And timepiece is so good on that as well.
Sure is. Yeah, Timepiece is going to look really good on this Champion. But here comes the Builder's Decree. Not amplified, just going to shut something off for a while. That's
I
tough.
suppose he was expecting the champion.
Yeah, I guess he shut down the champion here. I mean, timepiece still looks pretty rough, but you can deal with that with a board wipe, but the champion's going to be a lot harder to deal with.
For sure. I guess he's just going to accept that the timepiece just kills his Diana here.
Yeah. Diana down. It does actually pop the regen on the Vinegrafter. Not that that's super relevant, but when a Defiance is actually a great draw for iplongno. That's
Double
such a
Defiance
clean
now.
answer. Yeah, such a clean answer to that Vinegrafter. Might be a 6/6 flying deadly lifesteal killer, but that doesn't work in face of a Defiance. All right. Even Golem's
Oh, that is good draw.
Yep, so that Defiance is going to be that clean answer to that Vinegrafter. Here comes an Acantha. That's pretty good. I guess shields are down for AromaNova if iplongno can draw a board wipe. Well, Speaking Circle's pretty good too. Let's see if we can flip something off here that can deal with that Acantha. Well, that'll do it. Got a killer attack there.
And depending on whether IP deals with the Acantha here directly, there's actually a decision point where AromaNova could like fall into a pretty big mistake if he puts the timepiece on the Acantha and just runs into another Defiance.
Interesting. Well, I feel like you'd see that coming if you were an AromaNova. Like, why aren't you killing my Acantha?
Fair enough, fair enough.
I love just the attacks too. Like, I don't care if my Speaking Circle goes down to 2. Gonna pop that Ancestral Oasis to invoke. Of course, unfortunately, we can't see what the invoke choices are, but it looks like we got a Sakalis the Burning Sand. That's a pretty good one too. All right, let's start with that Pale Rider's timepiece. Oh, this Defiance blowout. Absolute blowout there.
I guess he valued getting rid of the Speaking Circle quite highly.
Yeah. Absolute blowout there. iplongno being able to take out the Golem and, more importantly, that timepiece, and most importantly, AromaNova's entire turn.
Did the Speaking Circle have an answer for the Champion of Cunning?
Had a killer, but no, not really.
Yeah, because it has regen, so.
All right, well, here comes that champion. That's a big unit. Although AromaNova is at 16. Let's see, that was a wild one. Let's get some fire cards. We got Thunder of Wings. We got Steam Rider. And we got I love that Steam Rider, by the way, has Deadly because it's a Praxis card and you need two time sigils because he's Combrei. It's great.
Oh right, yeah, of course.
It's hilarious. Yeah, I kind of like these attacks from AromaNova, though. Just like, you're not going to protect the Speaking Circle. Just keep playing out units. AromaNova's already at 9. Make it so that it's really awkward for AromaNova to attack. Now you play out a dragon, like just keep going wide. What's
For sure, yeah.
well, yeah, Golem helps and Felrock helps. So AromaNova is going to be able to play some units out, but I like IP
That
Longno's
Grafter
decision
is
there,
actually
though.
good.
Yeah, that craft was really good.
I think he can actually safely attempt to attack the speaking circle here, right?
Yeah, I think so. You could even
Because there's an
annihilate, make sure
annihilate,
you
yeah.
kill it. Yeah, kill the flyer, kill the speaking circle. You got 2 blockers back. Pretty good shape. So, I mean, I think IP Longno absolutely made the right decision in how they played that. But
Sure.
yeah, Romanova had a good turn to be able to stabilize there. Ooh, Shenra speaks as well. But you can't pop the. Actually, you can. Does this? No. Yeah, Silent Decimate will kill it, right? Doesn't Silence go first? Or no, does it not? Actually, I don't know how that works with Aegis.
I think no, I think it'll just survive.
It doesn't.
It is one of the relics. Oh wait. Oh, yeah, the charge unit.
I totally
Did
missed
we-
just what happened. What unit did he
something-
draw there?
Did he? No, he didn't have the Seekerless anymore.
No.
Did he
Oh,
just invoke again?
I think those units may have had overwhelm. I'm sorry, Chad. I did not think that IP Longno could kill that turn. So our bad on that one. I have to.
I'm actually so confused because the killer attack had overwhelm.
Yeah, so the
The
killer.
killer attack had overwhelm,
Yeah,
but they
and
still
then
had
he had
2
the other.
units that